stuff you can only get during this webinar. So let's get started. All right, so as you know, this webinar is about advanced mobile growth. And for those who don't know me, my name is Nazih Saloom. I've been in marketing and in growth specifically for the past 12, 13 years, starting my career at Procter & Gamble. And I moved to Google after that. And I headed global marketing for Tango, which is one of the leading video communication app here in Silicon Valley. And I had my own few startups as well during the process. I have some executive education from some of the top schools and universities in the world. And lately here in the Valley, I started this Mobile Growth Academy. The Mobile Growth Academy is a series of videos and tips and hacks that I documented based on my experience and based on experience from the leading apps in the world. How do they market their apps? So I reverse engineer their marketing and put it in a very easy to follow framework that anybody, even if they have zero marketing experience, can follow and implement in their business. I've been giving this workshop across the world, here in Silicon Valley, in LA, in Dubai, in San Francisco, and I've been doing it across many different cities, as you could see in these pictures. And I've been teaching the same program to more than 5,600 startups, mobile startups globally, helping them in growing their app across different verticals, whether it's a commerce app or a communication app or any sort of app. They've been going through my program and through my teachings to grow their businesses and grow their apps. And I'm gonna do the same thing with you today. Here's my promise to you. At the end of the webinar, you're gonna have so many things you can implement today in your business to grow your app. Some tools you could use, some hacks you can use. There are gonna be tons of content, so make sure you stick around till the end of the webinar as well. Now, let me start by documenting why 90% of mobile startups fail. The problem with mobile startups is that most of them, the biggest majority, are founded by non-marketeers, mostly product managers, engineers, developers, who don't really have any experience in marketing. And if they have any experience in marketing, it's usually coming from a web background, not from a mobile background, because mobile marketing is very different than web marketing, as you're going to see in this webinar. And here's how it starts normally. The founders usually come up with an awesome idea. They go in and build a prototype out of it, and then after a few iterations, they're ready to launch. That's when they're ready to launch, and that's when their marketing starts. This process usually takes anywhere between 2 to 6 months before any marketing starts. So they don't do any pre-launch marketing, and all their marketing starts only when they think the product is ready. So they wasted valuable time before they do any kind of marketing. And they follow the same marketing model that failing startups are using. So they start copying each other, they start observing each other, and most of them, they copy the same exact model that goes something like this. So they build the product and they're ready to release it in the market. So they start contacting friends and family. They start advertising also on Facebook or on Google to send paid traffic to the stores. They use some social media and they send all this traffic to the app stores, whether it's a Google Play Store or the App Store, where they expect people to download their app. And they end up with some sort of conversion, around 1% of conversion. So this is where the marketing starts. They don't have any retention plan in place to keep those users. And all their attention and all their focus goes back to the beginning of the funnel to start acquiring new users. And that's what I call hope marketing. They're hoping that users are gonna like the product. They're hoping that users are gonna stick around. That's the failing marketing model that 90% of companies are implementing. And I hope you're not implementing that, because this is the recipe for failure. So this means that there's no marketing system implemented. Most of the companies use paid marketing to launch their product, which is not sustainable. It usually, in most cases, doesn't work because these companies miss the fundamentals of paid marketing. They do a lot of manual marketing, which tends to be stressful, time-consuming. It doesn't lead any results. And then they don't have any plan to retain and engage and keep the existing users who started using their app. And the last problem is that they treat all the users the same way. They talk and message and communicate with the users all the same way. These are the problems of the typical marketing model that most companies are using. And I'm going to be showing you what you should be doing instead in a moment. Now, who's doing this today? If you type yes in the chat box, who's doing who's using this marketing model today? Type yes in the chat box right now. Here's what you should be doing instead. If you typed yes, you should be a bit worried about that, because you're not going to be able to succeed. And by the way, this applies to any tech company, by the way, not just a mobile startup, any tech company. So here's what you should be doing instead. You need a marketing system to attract, convert users 24/7 and keep them in your app. That's what your marketing system should be doing. These three things: attract, convert, and keep them in your app. And the growth rate you need to aim for is anywhere between 5% to 7% week over week. If you have anything less than that or anything above that, you're in a good spot. You actually have a growing business that's attracting and keeping users, and it's eventually going to hit this hockey stick growth. If you have less than 5% to 7% week over week growth, you have to go back to your marketing system, go back to your drawing board, and look at what's not working. Most likely it's the system that's broken. Investors, if you're looking for any investors, any funding, investors are looking for this kind of growth rate, 5% to 7% week over week growth. If you don't have that, do not go talk to investors. So the system needs to convert users at every stage of the funnel. Let me explain what I mean. So you have to map out the user life cycle. What are the different stages any user will go through from beginning to the end? So imagine you have 10,000 people who discovered your business, your app. Out of these 10,000 people, 2,000 are interested to go on the App Store or the Play Store to read more about it. Out of those, 500 end up installing it. And this is a relatively optimistic figure. But out of these 500, let's assume that 300 registers. You should know by now that not every single person who installs your app will effectively register. So let's assume 300 people register to your app. Not all of these people actually use your app. So out of those who register, let's assume that 80 out of those use the key feature or the key event or the key action of your app. So if you have a photo editing app, out of the 300 who registered, only 80 people end up using it, end up editing the picture. And out of the 80 people, only 10 people end up sticking around on day 30 after they install. This is how you start mapping out the user life cycle. Obviously, these numbers will differ based on different apps. You have to plot these numbers for your app and then see what are the different numbers. But your marketing system should be designed to optimize these conversion rates at every stage of the user life cycle. This is how you start thinking about the marketing system. And the way you think about it is you divide all your stages, all your steps of the funnel, from somebody who has no clue your app exists all the way to being active on day 30. What are the different steps? And you start looking at the different conversion rates at every stage. And this is where you start focusing on optimizing and improving these conversion rates. To simplify this whole thing, I summarize it in 4 stages. These are the 4 stages of growth of any tech company. You start with positioning, then you move to acquisition, then you move to the 3rd stage of activation, and then the 4th stage is retention. These are the stages that you need to use to map out your marketing system for any company, any tech company, whether it's a mobile app or a web app, any tech company you build. You want to make sure that your marketing system is divided into these 4 stages. Let's go through them one by one. First one is positioning. Positioning is the core of your marketing. It's where everything starts. And basically, it's what do you stand for? And it's never about you. It's never about your features. It's never about your product. It's never about how awesome you are. Users don't care about you. They don't care about your product or your features. It's all about them. It's all about their benefits, their needs, their desires, how your product helps them solve their own problems. So what is the one thing you want them to remember about your app? You want users to remember about your app. What is the one thing? Ideally, it's a set of 2 words or even maybe 1 word. So what is the one thing that's going to make them remember your app? and what makes your app unique and different from their existing options. This is where you start differentiating your product and make sure that your product is unique in the eyes of the users. You want to make sure that they see it as a unique, as a different, as a better option from all the other options they have in front of them. So everything starts with positioning. And the way you think about positioning is you start with one audience. You choose one niche, one audience. Even if you can serve multiple audiences, you can't afford to go after everyone. Choose one audience, one niche. You profile this audience. You identify the problems this audience has that your app is going to solve. And you articulate the benefits of your app and how your app is going to solve these problems, these very specific problems to that specific audience. And once you identify these benefits, how your app is going to solve these problems, you start drafting attractive headlines. That's when you start writing messages, marketing messages that attract and persuade users. And the fourth step is once you have these messages ready, once you have them written up, that's when you start using them in marketing communication. What happens in most companies is that when they're starting marketing, they open up Facebook, let's say, they open up their Facebook ad editor and they start typing the ad messages right there. This is the worst time to write any marketing message. Or if they're sending an email to their users, they open the email editor and they start drafting emails from scratch there. That's also the worst time to write any marketing message. What you need to have is a library of all the messages written up way in advance that you can copy and paste in those different marketing channels. This process that I just described here takes some time. It takes at least a week. You need to allocate at least a week to actually do all of this. And the core of this positioning exercise is copywriting. Copywriting is extremely important. Now, most entrepreneurs, most founders hate copywriting. I also hate copywriting. Now, the good thing is that copywriting has been solved. The problem of writing has been solved. When it comes to writing, I never ever start from scratch. I always go back to certain formulas, and I always revert back to power words. What I mean by power words, these are words that evoke emotions. Not any word that you use in marketing has the same impact. For example, if I tell you fish or shark, which of these two words has most impact on you? Shark, obviously. Shark evokes more emotions in you. There's this emotion, tense feeling associated with shark compared to fish. Now, these two words belong to the same category, but when you start using different words that have different intensity, you start expecting different results and different reactions from people. So what you want to be doing is always use power words in your marketing. And the choice of words you use in your marketing really decides whether your marketing is going to work or it's going to fail. Let me illustrate it with an example. Here's why words matter. Imagine you have two headlines, two marketing messages that are both getting the same amount of visitors. Both are getting 10,000 visitors. A bad headline, a poorly written message, will convert probably 0.05% at most. So out of 10,000 visitors, you end up with only 5 users. But if you put the effort to write better headlines, out of the 10,000 visitors, you can expect 2% conversion, sometimes more. I got messages that got 10-15% conversion rate. But let's assume it's only 2%. So out of the 10,000, you end up with 200 users. So without spending any more money, without doing anything except writing better headlines, you can start growing your business 40 times. 40 times, that's massive, simply by writing better headlines. So here are 3 headlines, proven headlines that get you more clicks. A how-to headline usually has a huge impact on people. People love how-to headlines. Here's a formula that I always use to write my marketing message. And it starts with how to, a specific task, that specific benefit. So how to write content that glues your reader to the page. That's a formula that I always use and that you can use too. Another one that I use often, and it created massive results for my business. what everybody ought to know about certain thing. In my case, it would be what every serious entrepreneur needs to know about mobile marketing. This sentence evokes certain emotions and get people to click on it. Or a third one is a question statement. Are you loss by statement? Are you risking your health by doing only one blood test per year? Are you risking your marketing, your startup by not having a marketing system in place? So these are formulas for writing better headlines that get people to click on them and move down the funnel, move to the next stage in their user life cycle. These are 3 simple examples of formulas. In the Mobile Growth Academy, I have more than 500 powerful headline formulas that I always use and that all the members use to write better marketing, to write better copywriting for their business across all the different marketing assets, whether it's for ads or for different articles or for email marketing, which is hugely important, or when they're drafting the App Store descriptions, or when it comes to writing landing pages and setting up landing pages for their business, or when they're writing, for example, messages for the referral. They always go back to these headlines and use them to succeed and grow in the business. And that's what you should be doing too. You should prepare all your marketing before you actually do it, so you can use it in different marketing channels. So once you do all this, that's when you're ready to start acquiring users. Once you've profiled, once you position your business successfully, that's when you're ready for acquisition. And when it's time for acquisition, the way you need to think about it is, how can I convert users for free in a consistent and repeatable way? I'm going to show you what are the different channels you could use for free to attract users. But basically, it needs to be sustainable. It needs to be repeatable. You want constant flow of new users in your business. And the reason is, today, it costs anywhere between $4 to $6 to acquire a single user for a mobile app. And that's pretty expensive. It's not sustainable for a mobile app to spend this money to attract users. I mean, if you have the money, obviously spend it if you have a lot of money. But most companies don't have a lot of money and they can't afford to keep spending it. Unfortunately, most startups, when they're starting up, they go in and burn a few $1,000s on Facebook to attract users. And then they end up wasting all their budget on a channel that's not working. Don't do this. Don't spend money on advertising unless you have a very solid marketing system, a conversion funnel that's completely optimized. And that's what I'm going to show you in this webinar. So let me show you the 16 free distribution channels. But before I actually do this, there are 2 prerequisites to acquisition. Do not acquire any single user before you have these 2 things in place. The first one is attribution. Now, attribution allows you to associate one user to one download to one source of traffic. This is very important. You want to know which sources of traffic are working the best and which ones are not working, which ones are effective and which ones are not effective. So you can stop using the channels that are not effective and focus on those that are effective. For example, you might realize that Facebook is not attractive for you. It's not actually converting users for you. Whereas Pinterest is converting more users for you. Or email marketing is converting more users. Or content marketing around certain topics is converting the most users, the most engaged users. How do you know that? You know it by attribution. So attribution, the way you can start attribution is you can use different tools. There are many different tools out there. In the Academy, I mentioned many different tools, but a very simple way to do it is go on Google and look for URL builder. You're going to end up with Google's own URL builder that is going to allow you to create these attribution links. So you put your URL, you put the campaign source, your campaign medium, the campaign name, if you have a certain campaign name like a promotion, some sort of content, if you have any specific content around this campaign, and then you create the ad, the link. The link ends up being something like that. And that's the link you use to promote your campaign. Use it in email, use it in Facebook. When you're doing advertising, use it on Pinterest. This link allows you to track where are users converting the most from. You take this URL, and if you have Google Analytics set up, for example, Google Analytics allow you to track these links by default. It's out of the box. It's by looking at source and medium, and by looking at different. So Google Analytics breaks down these links by source, by medium, and by campaigns. So make sure you use attribution before you start acquiring any single user. The second thing that's equally important is deep links. Who knows what deep links are? Type yes in the chat box. Deep links are the core, the backbone, the infrastructure of mobile marketing. You cannot succeed and grow your business and grow your app without deep links. A deep link is a link that takes you to a specific page or content in your app. They're the core of mobile marketing, as we just said. Now, on the web, you all know what deep links are. Basically, they are the usual links that you click on to go to a specific page. These are visible. We always see them across the web. They're pretty standard. Now, on the mobile space, we also have links that send people to specific pages in the app. These links are not visible to users. They're hidden behind buttons or certain icons in the mobile app. But they go something like this. You have the app name, colon, / a specific item, and then the item name, for example. Now, deep links are fundamental to mobile marketing. Here's why. Imagine you're sending an image to your friend through a message. Now, if your friend has the app installed, when they click on the link that you send them, that link takes them to that specific image on their app, on their device. Now, if they don't have the app installed, they go to the appropriate app store, whether it's a Google Play or the App Store. The data is saved after the user installs the app, and then after they install it and they open the app, it automatically takes them to that specific image. That's what a good experience should be like. That's what good deep links do. Unfortunately, most of startups have broken deep links. If the user receiving the message, receiving the link, doesn't have the app installed, they go to the App Store, they download the app, but the data is lost. They end up going through the onboarding experience, and then when they were expecting to land on the image they were expected to see, they don't see it. They go to the generic welcome pages, and then they lose the image. That's a very bad experience. What you want to be doing is you want to send the user to that specific content you wanted them to see. And that's where deep links become important. So imagine I'm sending this link to my friend. You've got to try this recipe from Yumly. It's so good. And then the link. When you click on the when my friend clicks on the link, they go install Yumly, and the link automatically takes them to that recipe I shared with them. That's what a good experience looked like. Now, these are the two things. Deep links and attribution are core to acquisition. Do not start acquiring users before having these two things set up in your business. All right, so let's talk about different distribution channels. You have growth hacking ideas. I'm going to be sharing some with you. Content marketing, SEO is critical. App Store optimization is very important. You can set up virality and viral loops in your business. You can start talking to specific bloggers around your niche and do some content marketing around that as well. You can do PR for startups. Do not hire a PR agency. They're very expensive. In fact, in the academy, there's a whole module on how to do PR for free, how to reach TechCrunch and all these media publications for free, and got covered by these media publications. You can do social media. Referral marketing is very important. You can do cross-marketing when you identify a company, a startup in your space, and you start exchanging different banners, exchanging different deep links to help each other out. You can get some endorsement from some company or some celebrity or some influencer. You can do sweepstakes as well by identifying somebody who needs some exposure and then takes the gifts from them and then run some sweepstakes in your business. You can do partnerships. I love partnerships. Partnerships are awesome. And the way you should do partnerships by identifying companies who can complement your business and then get them to promote you for free. Customer service at your early stages is very, very, very important. positive word of mouth, positive experience around your app is going to spread your app virally. Similarly, negative experience, negative customer service, negative customer experience is also going to spread your brand negatively. And the only thing is that it's not going to lead to acquisition. You can join startup competitions, not necessarily to win, but startup competitions are platforms to allow you to market your business because it's designed to put you in front of the media. They're designed to put you in front of a stage and in front of an audience to start marketing your app. Join as many competitions as possible. They're also going to help you refine your pitch and identify what features are attractive the most to people. Events. Go to events and promote your business there. The only thing is that do not go to startup events to promote your app there. What you want to be doing is to focus on events around your niche. So if you are a beauty app, if you offer certain beauty tips or certain beauty products, e-commerce mobile app, you don't want to go to tech events for startups. You want to go to events around beauty where your target audience congregates. This is where you're going to find this audience. You're going to talk to them. You're going to identify potential partners there, and you're going to get feedback. Go to events and start collecting emails of potential users and start getting feedback on your app. So these are different distribution channels you can start using for free to start marketing your app and getting feedback on it and start acquiring users. Let's go through some of them. Growth hacks. Here's an idea on how to hack WhatsApp. WhatsApp has more than 1 billion users now. I've used it across different companies and different examples. And the idea is WhatsApp has a deep link whereby if you put it in your app, you can ask users to open WhatsApp and invite their WhatsApp friends to install your app. I did this successfully actually in India, where we promoted a certain app I was working at to attract WhatsApp users to start using that app. And the way it works is we put a banner, a house banner, which is a banner we didn't pay for because it was inside our app. And we invited people to install this app that you can see the name here, to start using it and start marketing and start using it to make free calls together and start talking together for free. And the idea is this is a free way to start hacking WhatsApp, start getting users from WhatsApp to your business. We've used it and it was super successful and allowed us to increase our organic installs by multiple times. So an idea on how to hack WhatsApp. Content marketing. The idea of content marketing is to start attracting users and start building this relationship with them and then nurture their leads to eventually convert them. And you have two types of content marketing. You have the lead generation content marketing, and you have the social sharing content marketing. I'll be talking here a bit about lead generation. We can talk about social sharing in the Mobile Growth Academy if you join, but in this webinar, I'm going to be talking about lead generation, how to attract potential users to your business. And the goal here is to offer tips about anything that can be helpful to a user in your space. If you remember the first step, which is all about positioning, identifying the problems of your audience, of your niche, once you identify the problems these people have, you start creating solutions, you start identifying tips, you start identifying advices, or anything that can help them solve these problems. Your app is one of the solutions they could use to solve their problems. But you can also send them tips, you can send them advice, and you can document these in blogs, in articles, in ebooks, PDFs, videos, email, webinars, even like this webinar. So here's an example of a Birchbox, which is a beauty subscription business that's very successful. I knew about Birchbox for a long time. They have an awesome website. They have an awesome mobile app as well. I never used them because I never really cared about them until I landed on their YouTube channel. So I started going through the videos on their YouTube channel when I was preparing content for this webinar and for the academy. And I was so amazed by the level, by the quality of content, by the quality of tips and advice they were sharing, that I immediately subscribed to it for my wife. And she started getting boxes for the past 12 months now. That's how awesome content marketing is. They didn't advertise to me. They didn't push any messages on me. All they did is put content on YouTube that's working for them 24/7. That's constantly getting traffic and converting users. Here's an example of how you can link email to deep links to eventually conversion. So imagine Mike received this message about Charlotte True, which is an e-commerce company about fashion, maybe for his wife. So Mike opens his email and he clicks on shoes. Maybe he's interested in shoes for his wife. He clicks on shoes. This link takes him to the App Store to download Charlotte True's app, in which he installs it, he opens it, and he lands directly on the shoes category. He's not landing on a generic welcome page. He's landing directly on the shoes category. This is how you start using deep links with email marketing to eventually convert and acquire users. And all of it is free, as you could see. The other idea is to use SEO. The same thing you can use for SEO. SEO is extremely important for app marketing. It's still very important. So imagine you're looking for summer's end playlist. So you type in summer's end playlist, and what you end up having is a list from Google. You click on certain results from Google that are optimized for those keywords, which take you straight to the App Store to install it and to start using it, and then land you directly on the summer's ends playlist. So what you do is you optimize your App Store, your app, for certain keywords, and in the search result, you use a deep link to send users directly to the searches and the keywords they're expecting to land on. Now the question is, how do you do this? I'll share with you how you can do this in a moment. App Store optimization. Who knows what App Store optimization is? That's another hack you could use, another growth tactic you can use to grow your app. App Store optimization is the process of improving the visibility and ranking of a mobile app in the App Store. It's basically SEO for your app on the App Stores. Now, proper SEO has a lot of things in it, has a lot of variables you need to optimize. That's a mind map of all the things you need to optimize to effectively do proper SEO. I did this mind map to help me organize my App Store optimization process for many of the apps I started helping. I go through it eventually to optimize every single app on the App Stores. But basically, the idea of App Store optimization is to always be tweaking. You have to be tweaking the name, the details, the description, the icon, the design. You have to constantly have updates to keep your app refreshed. You have to optimize your rating and reviews, pricing if you have any pricing. So you always are tweaking different variables to effectively rank higher in the App Store. We have a whole module on App Store optimization in the Academy. It's awesome. You need to optimize your App Store effectively to rank higher and get free traffic. The good thing is that very few companies are doing it. So the earlier you start doing it, the more traffic you start getting. Here's a example of an app that's killing it on the App Store. They got 35 million installs for free purely from the App Store optimization, purely from optimizing their app screens, their app name, their reviews on the App Stores. It's called Calculator Plus or Fraction Plus in this case. So the question is, should you outsource SEO or should you do it in-house? You can outsource it and then pay $500 to $2,000 per month to optimize your app. It's like SEO, or you can learn it yourself. I recommend you learn it. Now, there are different tools you could use to optimize your app. You could use Searchman. Sensor Tower is a very popular one. App Annie is also super popular. You can use also Mobile Action. There are plenty of tools you could use, but these are some of the major ones you could use. Another one, referral marketing, referrals. You need to have some referrals, some sort of invitations in your app to encourage people to invite their friends. And the idea is, do not bury it in your app. Do not make it hard and difficult for people to find the invitation buttons. You have to always be visible, always on call to action. So on Uber, you can see that they have free rides. It's always there. You never miss it. I'm always surprised how many steps I need to go through in a specific app when I'm being asked to help companies, how many steps I have to go through to find the invitation flows. As you're starting up, you have to make it super easy for people to find the invitation, to encourage others to join them on their app. So you have to always have a call to action visible for users. Again, I have a whole module on referral marketing in the Mobile Growth Academy. One way to encourage people to invite their friends is to offer them some sort of incentive that is valuable for them to eventually attract and invite their friends. So that's an app that's called The League. It's one of the dating apps that are growing phenomenally here in San Francisco. Now, when you join them, I'm not sure what's the case today, but when you join them early on, you have to be on the wait list. And the idea of it is that they start releasing and opening up the app for users with time. So if you wanted to skip the line, if you wanted to join the app very quickly, all you had to do is invite your friends. So by tapping the link, by inviting your friend, you skip the wait list and join the League app very quickly. And that's one of the main growth hacks they use to explode their wait list. They had, here you could see 12,000 people on their wait list. I got to know some numbers. They had tens of thousands of people on their wait list before they even launched. That's something you could do in your business as well. So these are some ideas of acquisition. The third stage, which is extremely important, as you're going to see in a moment, is the activation. It's one of the steps that are overlooked by most startups. Activation is the process of getting someone who installed your app to register and stick around. And the idea is the magic of the first 30 seconds. What happens during the first 30 seconds of somebody in your app? How many steps they have to go through in order to go through the promise of the app? If it's a photo editing app, how many steps they have to go through to effectively start editing their app? Count them. Open up the app now and count how many steps a single user goes through from installing it all the way to using the core feature of your app. I get shocked when a startup tells me, or when I start counting the steps, and it's anywhere between 14, 15, 16, and 20 steps, including the sign-up process. This is mind-boggling. What you should aim for is at most 5, 6 steps before somebody gets to the core feature of your app and start using it. The reason why this is extremely important is that even if you did everything perfect up to the stage, and if you're not paying attention to activation, you are probably going to lose 80% of users. And that's the average of all apps in the app stores and the Play Store. 80%, on average, an app loses 80% of users by day 3. Imagine how big this number is. So if you did everything fine, if you have all these acquisition channels, if you have the best positioning statement and the best marketing messages, if you don't pay attention to activation, you're going to lose 80% of your users on day 3. So what you need to be doing is deliver on the promise of the app in a memorable and in a simple way. There are many different ways you can improve activation and increase the number of people who stick around in your app. One of the most popular one is the onboarding plan. So onboarding is when you take a certain user to experience the app for the first time. There are 3 different ones. I don't have time to talk about all of them. I'm going to just mention in brief the progressive onboarding, which is the most common one. Progressive onboarding is a process of presenting information to users as they start using the app. It's a very important form of onboarding. And the promise of it is to show users and not tell them about your app. Show them how it works and don't tell them. What you don't want to end up with is a series of slides with boring messages that a user will swipe through to eventually land in your app. Take Snapchat as an example. They have an awesome onboarding experience. A new user start discovering Snapchat for the first time as they start using it. So I recommend for you to try it. Uninstall Snapchat if you have it and install it and see what kind of onboarding experience they have. And then they start taking a user step by step to eventually discover the app in a very simple way. And as you could see, it's only 3 steps before a user gets to the core of Snapchat, which is sending a snap. The 4th step, which is extremely important as well, it's retention. Retention is what makes or breaks a company as well. You have to think beyond the install. Getting somebody to use your app for the first time is not the core of your marketing. The core should be getting them to use it for the first time, but more importantly, to come back and use it over and over again. So you have to think beyond the install. Here are 3 major mistakes why apps fail. The first one is manual marketing. Manual marketing is what we talked initially, where a team starts doing marketing manually. That can be very time consuming. They cannot manage multiple campaigns. They cannot manage multiple channels. They can't manage incomplete actions. So for example, when a certain user doesn't complete the core feature or doesn't do the core action in your app, when you do manual marketing, there's no way you can manage that. There's no way you can talk to this person and get them to complete the action. You can also miss on time-based events. So certain events that require certain timely intervention, you're gonna miss on them. If, for example, you have a shopping app, if the user added a item on the cart but did not check out, if you do manual marketing, there's no way you're gonna remind this person to check out. These are mistakes of manual marketing. The other mistake is when you send the same message to everyone. We also talked about that in the beginning. Imagine I open a organic food app. Now I don't eat meat because I'm a vegetarian eater. So if the company has certain offers on meat and they send me a message and a notification or email on a meat offer, that's a sure way for me to uninstall the app because it's completely irrelevant for me. I don't care about that. They don't understand me, and I'm gonna uninstall the app. That's a very bad user experience. So you cannot send the same message to everyone. You have to segment your audience, and you have to segment the users based on certain criteria before you send them a message. In fact, I have a whole training on segmentation in marketing for different users and how to segment users based on different cohorts. But you cannot send the same message to everyone. The 3rd major mistake is that when you send too many messages, when you're over sending the messages to users, when you're sending the same message to everyone multiple times and you're over sending the messages, this is very spammy. And you'd be surprised how often this happens. You don't want to be doing these mistakes. These mistakes lead to frustration and stress in the company, lead to high costs in the company. They lead to uninstalls and drops in usage. They hinder the startups from growing. And eventually, the business dies and the dreams of the founders die with it. That's how bad these mistakes are. And they are super common. The problem is that most companies, most people are not aware they're making these mistakes. Who's suffering from this today? Who's doing this manual marketing today and sending the same messages to everyone? Type yes, I am in the box. Type yes, I am in the chat box below. Here's what successful apps are doing and what you should be doing too. They customize their marketing communication to every single user. So if you think about the 4 stages of the growth funnel, the first step is positioning, writing the messages. They send these messages to attract users. And then this user experience, the first time user experience in a delightful way. And then the retention plan engages with that user to keep bringing them back to the business. Now, the secret is mobile marketing automation. That's how you can eventually talk to companies at scale. And that's how you start segmenting your audience and then customizing the messages to every single user. Now, mobile marketing automation helps you engage with users at scale. Whether you have 10 users or 1 million users, it's the same process on a one-on-one basis at the right time and with the right content. That's what mobile automation does. It's fundamental for your growth. It's very important for you to eventually succeed in marketing. So automation basically is just a tool to help you effectively communicate with users at scale, whether it's through push messages or in-app messages or email marketing, or the combination of everything. And there's a reason why tens of thousands of companies and the most successful apps that you know of are using automation, because it works, because that's the secret of how you can scale and grow your business. And the earlier you start, the better you're at. There are many different companies that you could use to effectively automate your marketing. You can use LeanPlum, you can use Localytics, you can use Kahuna, Mixpanel, AppBoy, CleverTap. Most of these companies are not free, and some are free, some are complicated. But what you need to keep in mind when you're choosing a automation company is the pricing. Even if the pricing is attractive when you're on a small scale, when you have some users, they can be very expensive as you start collecting more users. So if you have a few thousand users, you might get to the free plan. But as you start growing and as you start collecting more users, you can see that some of these tools charge you a few $1,000s per month. So pricing is very important. That's why when I was scanning the market, I recommend for you to choose CleverTap. It's a free tool. It's an awesome tool for automation, and you can have an awesome free plan up to 50 or 60,000 users. You have the free plan. The same plan would cost you a few $1,000s for other companies. And then as you start getting the paid plan, which is when you hit the 60, 70, 80,000 users, they're much, much cheaper than any other tool out there. And that's why I recommend them. They work across the mobile or web. They have in-app messages, you have push notification, you have email marketing, you have the combination, you have retargeting, you have web notification as well. I highly recommend you use them. Now, the biggest fear of app developers is that they'll come across as impersonal or maybe even spammy when they're using marketing. But as I said, that's why most companies are using it. The successful companies are using it because it works. And I recommend you start as soon as possible with automation. Now that you understand the importance of automation, there are many things you could do to engage and retain users. You can send push notification or email marketing. You can send them offers. You can send them surveys. And the idea is to have an excuse to talk to them. What can you send them to talk to them so that they remember you, so that there's a way for you to engage with them? You can send thank you messages. You can send specific campaigns or sweepstakes. You can target your core happy users, those users who are keeping your business alive. You can activate your referral marketing, because if they invite their friends on the app, there's high chances that they're going to stick to the app and start using it on a regular basis. You can use PR and remain on top of mind of users when they read the articles on the web and they see your app or they see the app name, they start remembering it and they start using it. Because one of the most important reasons why people are not using your app, even if they love it, is simply because they forgot about it. So you have to constantly be on top of their mind. You can own certain context. For example, when it comes to personal finance, you can own that category by associating your app, if your app is about personal finance, to personal finance. So at the end of the week, when I'm doing my personal finances, I always think about certain app. You can own a category in your space and always associate that context to your app. Marketing automation allows you to engage and constantly talk to users at scale. You can announce new features. You can announce incentive promotions as well. These are awesome ideas for you to engage and retain users. Here's an awesome hack you could use to increase your retention rate. You understand that push notification is fundamental to increase retention. The problem is that most apps push this notification to opt in for the push notification as soon as somebody installed the app. That's a reason why only 40% of users opt in to receive push notification. Most apps abuse this, and most apps don't explain why people need to opt in, which end up having users opting out of push notification. Obviously, the opt-in rate is the highest among ride-sharing apps. That's why you see it's more than 75%, because if I order an Uber, I want Uber app to tell me when my Uber arrived. However, it's the lowest on social apps because most social apps abuse sending messages, so users end up opting out. So if push notification is so important, how do you get users to opt in? Use this hack to increase your opt-in rate and eventually increase your retention. You promote benefits first. Here's what Retail Me Not does to increase the opt-in rate. So after I choose the different stores I'm interested in the onboarding experience, the app shows me this pop-up that says, do you want us to notify you when your favorite stores have new coupons? Of course I want. That's why I chose my favorite stores. There's a big call to action that says yes, call button that says yes. I click on it, and only then I get this pop-up that asks me for the native opt-in for push. That is a way to increase by orders of magnitude your opt-in rate for push notification, and eventually it allows you to talk to users on a one-on-one basis. Do this and you're going to instantly see increase in your retention. You're going to start seeing increase in opt-in rate, and if you have appropriate push notification strategy, you're going to see increase in retention rate. So this is the summary of the 4 stages of the growth funnel. As you see, there are so many things I could not cover, but are also important. But I'm hoping that you learned a lot of things in this webinar alone. And you might be wondering, what next? So as I told you, these are just few tactics you can use. There are tons of more tactics you can use, tons of examples that I didn't have time to explain today. And that's why I created the Mobile Growth Academy. The Mobile Growth Academy consists of videos, resources, tutorials on everything we talked about, in addition to tons of more stuff that I could not talk today about. We talk about the components of growth and what constitute growth and what you should eventually think of and work towards when you're thinking about growth. We talk about growth metrics and what are the most important metrics investors look for. We talk about how to create a marketing plan and the go-to-market plan and go-to-market strategy that you need to have in place, both in practice, but also in the pitch deck investors look for. How to position your app for success. So everything about positioning and how to position your app to differentiate your business against all others. Copywriting hacks and everything about copywriting to help you write better messages. More than 500 headline formulas, power words, and power adjectives that you could use instantly today in your business to start writing better. Don't write from scratch anymore. I'll cover 18 free marketing channels in detail and tell you more about them and how you could use each of them eventually to your business. Talk about the attribution best practices. I covered one high-level idea on how you could use attribution, but there are more ways you can use attribution that effectively let you know which channels are working, which are not working. Deep links. I scratched the surface of deep links. There are tons of best practices you could use for deep links. How you could use deep links to personalize the onboarding experience, for example, and so much more. App Store optimization. We have a full module on App Store optimization, go in detail and step by step and the tools you could use. Content marketing, the same thing. We cover content marketing. Referral marketing, how to set up referral marketing, what message to send, how to set up the whole referral marketing system in your app. How to do PR for your startup for free without spending $1. How to do killer onboarding and how to use the best practices of onboarding. Push notification hacks, that's one hack I gave you. There are many, many more hacks you could use to increase the opt-in rate for push notification. Awesome user experience resource of more than 100 ways successful apps are using to onboard users and effectively get users to have a delightful first-time experience. Best practices for welcome emails and how to welcome users. Retention best practices, how to use mobile marketing automation in detail, what tools to use, how to set up segmentation, how to set up the cohorts, how to set up the right events. Push notification strategy, the best content for automation. So what do you send users? When do you send them? What channel do you use? How to have a killer email engagement strategy, and so much more. All of this is in the Mobile Growth Academy, which consists of a series of videos clearly segmented and offered to you in the form of videos, as I said. That's one idea, that's one example of a video around the best content types for your automated marketing. You might be wondering, what's the price of all this? If you go today to Mobile Growth Academy, you're going to see that the online price today is $137 a month. You can obviously cancel whenever you want, but today the price is $137 a month, or it's almost $1,650 per year to join the academy. So the minute you stop paying, you don't have access to the content. I already have hundreds of members in the academy today, but for you today, I'm gonna have something better. I'm gonna reduce the price to attract more startups, because a lot of startups could not afford $137 a month. So I'm offering this price point today as a bonus, as an offer for all those who are on the call today still. Instead of paying the $137 a month or $1,650 a year, you have one payment of only $297, and you have access to the content for life. So you can access it anytime you want. So you pay once and you have access for the content for life. You have access to the content that's already in the academy and any future content I'm gonna be uploading. I have tons of content around partnerships, around viral loops, around persuasion, and so much more about Facebook advertising, about Instagram marketing. I'm gonna be uploading those very soon. I have a second payment option as well to help you if you don't want to pay $297, or you can't afford to pay $297 in one payment, which is 6 payments of $57 only. They're billed monthly, but it's only 6 payments of $57. Now, here's what you need to do next. If you're interested, if you want access to this content, click on the Get Started button on the page, complete the checkout process, and then check your email for the login details. But I have more stuff for you. I have a bonus. For those who join the academy, they have access to a private Facebook group to ask questions 24/7, and I'm gonna personally answer these questions. It's like hiring me without having to pay any consulting fees. And just so you know, if you had to hire me on a consultancy basis today, my fees are anywhere between $10,000 to $12,000. I'm in Silicon Valley. That's what companies are paying me for. I don't expect you to pay this much. The Facebook group is a way to interact with me anytime you want and ask me any question you want around your business. The second bonus is that CleverTap has been generous enough to offer a free one-on-one session to all those who join the academy and all those who join the CleverTap today. That's a second bonus. And if you're not happy, we have a 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. Just ask us for the refund and we'll refund you. We had no refund whatsoever since we started. However, if you're not happy for whatever reason, you can always ask for your money back. Now, to recap, you have access to all the existing and future modules of the Mobile Growth Academy. You have huge discount for life. You have access for life for the content. You have the bonus one, which is access to the private group. And you have the bonus two, which is the one-on-one session from CleverTap. All of this is a special deal only if you do it today. 6 payments of $57 or 1 payment of $297. Again, if you're interested, click on the button and then get started now. All right, let's jump on the Q&A session right now. All right, guys. Did you learn anything new today? Tell me in the chat box if you learned anything new today. If you think this was helpful, useful, just let me know your feedback so I know what you think of this webinar. And obviously, feel free to ask any question. I'll try to answer them all. And the offer, this deal, is going to be only valid throughout this webinar. So as long as we're still on the webinar, the deal is going to be available. Otherwise, you can always go back online and pay the normal fee. I'm cool with that. Just up to you to take advantage of the offer. So all the videos are recorded. It's self-paced. You can watch them whenever you want. You can interact with me whenever you want. It's video-based. I'm always updating stuff. I'm always adding stuff. I'm interviewing experts, growth experts here in the Valley, around many different topics, around monetization, around Facebook, around Facebook marketing, Facebook advertising. across many different topics. I'll be uploading as well new content regularly. As I said, viral loops, partnership, Facebook marketing, content marketing, more advanced stuff, stuff that you need. At the end of the day, this is not for everyone. This is only for serious companies. If you are building the business for a hobby, that's not for you. You can keep it as a hobby. I just want to work with serious companies. I don't want to waste my time with people who are not really focused on growing their business. If you are focused on growing this business, if this is a meaningful venture for you, and if you're sacrificing, compromising different aspects of your life, then it's extremely important for you to understand what it takes to market an app the right way. Because trust me, I've been helping thousands of companies. I've been in marketing for 12 years. Mobile marketing specifically is very hard. It's very difficult unless you have the right system, the right tools, the right framework in place. It's very difficult to get discovered. It's very difficult to keep users engaged in your app. You have to have the right system in place. So whether you're in the mobile space or you're in a tech web, the Academy, 80% of the content in it is valid for you. Most of it is valid for any company. You have 20% valid for mobile specific companies. I know marketing across different verticals. If you have questions around hardware, around SaaS businesses, e-commerce, web, mobile apps specifically, you can ask me. I've had experience personally with all these verticals across different stages. We're talking about Series C all the way to early stage and seed startup companies. One of the questions earlier was, should you outsource ASO? App Store optimization in marketing fundamentally is a skill set that you need to have in the company. It's like you don't outsource development if you're focusing on growing your business. You do it initially maybe for prototyping, but if your entire business is around technology, you keep it in-house. The same thing with marketing. This is a skill set that you need to have in-house and start nurturing and growing the team. And then as a founder, it's important for you to understand these skill sets. You might not want to implement them yourself or somebody in the team. However, if you want to hire somebody in marketing and growth specifically, you need to understand what questions to ask. You need to validate that this person is the right hire for you. Otherwise, the cost of hiring a wrong person is very, very high. So how do you know if the person is the right person? How do you validate that this person has the right skill set? One of the best ways, in my opinion, and the fastest ways is go through the academy, learn all of these things, not for implementing it necessarily, but at least to know what questions to ask during the interview process. That's what many members are doing in the academy today. And as they start learning, they start implementing them. These are very practical things that you can implement yourself. Let me see what questions. Can we see a replay of this webinar? I initially decided not to have a replay of the webinar. If I see enough yeses, you want a replay, then I'll put a replay. As of now, I don't see anything, but if you convince me with your yeses, if I see a lot of yeses that you want a replay, I'll consider it. One thing that you need to keep in mind is that marketing doesn't start when the product is ready. Good marketing starts when the idea is formed, when you're serious about your business. There's so many things you can do in marketing before you launch. You start collecting leads, you start engaging with the lead, you start validating the concept with real users. And there are ways to do it, but if you're spending 2 to 6 months building the product, don't waste this time only on building the product. Validate the concept, set up some funnels, set up some systems to collect emails of potential users, engage with them so that after a few months, after 3 months, 4 months, you're going to eventually have a list of a few hundred, maybe more, of potential users who are ready to start using your product. Email marketing is and will remain the core of marketing communication. You start asking for emails from people, you give them something in exchange, and then with time, you start engaging with them so that when you're ready to release your product, you have a list of few hundred people that are ready to use your product. We have a Google AdWord conversion rate of 35%. Is that good? Where can we find benchmark for apps in the same category? 35% conversion from paid acquisition is unheard of. I'm not sure what is the conversion about. Is it a lead conversion? Is it a paid conversion? I'm not sure what kind of conversion you're talking about, but this is a very, very high conversion rate. Whatever you're doing, if I understand correctly, I think you might want to share it with others so they can learn as well from you. So I see 1 yes, 2 yes, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 yeses out of how many people were today? We have 54 people now, 55 people. I see only 9, 10 yeses. I need to have at least double that to put the replay. Come on, guys. If you're serious about the yeses, put them. If you're not, I'm not. You're going to have a lot more FaceTime with me once you join the Academy. What I didn't mention is that every month we have a live call with the members where they can ask questions, and then we're going to have answers. It's a private live Q&A call with me. Sometimes I bring experts with me to ask questions and then answer them. But I didn't mention that because I thought there was no time for it. Let me see something. I want to thank Z Nation Lab for arranging this and for marketing it and for organizing it. Z Nation Lab is a brand new startup co-working space with a complete in-house startup ecosystem. They have embedded team of lawyers, chartered accountants, app developers, social media content, and blog writers to help you guys and startups with a wide range of activities. They have branches in Silicon Valley and very strong board of subject matter expertise, mentors, angel investors. I highly recommend you guys check them out if you don't know them already. They the ones who organized this webinar. You should thank them. I thank them. I thank Amit, who helped me organize this webinar. And just so you know, it's 10:15 p.m. right now here in Silicon Valley. I stayed up late just so I can do this webinar for you guys. All right, I see plenty more of yeses. All right, you guys win. I'll set up a replay. But the replay is only going to be valid for, so now it's Friday night here. It's going to be till Sunday night. So 48 hours from now is when I'm going to take down the webinar. So if you want to join the Academy with this deal, and just so you know, guys, I never did this deal before. I'm not sure it helps me in growing my business. That's what I do for a living. I'm doing it because I want to see if there is any interest from the market at this price point. It's usually monthly payment. I didn't have a problem with the monthly payment so far. But if you want to take advantage of this ridiculous price, it's time now. You have now and then the coming 2 days. Here's something I'm going to offer to see who's interested in, who's serious about it. Whoever joins before the webinar ends, before this live Q&A ends, I'm going to give them a private one-on-one session with me. That's a session where I'm going to dig deep in the business and customize a marketing plan for them. But you have to join during this webinar while it's still live, while I'm still with you guys. Whoever joins after, in the coming 48 hours, I'm not going to be able to offer them this. This is just another added bonus I just thought of now as a perk for those who are really serious in taking action and then moving forward. All right. One thing you have to keep in mind, guys, when you're starting any business, you have to spend a lot of time validating the concept and then testing in the market whether there's an appeal for it or not, and trying to focus your messaging. Copywriting, messaging, positioning is critical to your success. Keep asking the question, why? Why would your users care about the product? Why is this different? Why would they choose your product and not some other product or some other option they already use today to solve a problem? Because ultimately, you thought of a problem or an unmet need or a gap in the market, and you're building your product as a solution to fill this gap, to address this problem. But these people, if they have a problem today, they are already solving this problem. They have options to solve this problem. It might not be ideal. It might not be the best. It might not be the fastest, the cheapest, the most convenient. But they have options today, and most likely they're used to these options today. So when you're positioning your solution, your app, you have to think of, how is this product different or better as a substitute to their options today? Why should they switch and start using you? And this is the starting point. Whenever you're thinking marketing, whenever you're thinking even product design, don't assume that the user is already using your product third, fourth, fifth time. Focus on the very first few seconds in your app, or in your app, web app, or your startup, any startup. Go through the process, because as they start using you for the first time, they're still giving you benefit of the doubt that it might be interesting for them. They're not sold fully yet. They're not attached to the idea yet or the solution. There's no emotional connection yet. So what are you going to offer them during the first few seconds? And that's why I'm talking about the magic first 30 seconds. This is where everything starts. What are you offering them today in the first 30 seconds to make the experience, the first time experience, exciting, memorable, delightful, so that they want to come back and then experience the app and your product again? This is critical. That's the whole concept of activation, which most of companies overlook. The same thing with retention. Email is fundamental. Push notification is important. Segmentation is critical. You're going to see there's a trend now in Silicon Valley. It's going to hit the world, mostly become mainstream in 2017. The concept of automation, of segmentation and automation. They go hand in hand. You segment your user base based on certain criteria, and you send those specific users and segment of users messages that are relevant for them. You don't blanket message everyone together, because you're going to upset people. Every person is different. The way they use your app is different from person to person. So the message they should receive should be different from one person to person. The timing should be different from one person to person. The call to action in the message should be different from one person to person. You cannot do this manually. You have to do it on a automated way. This is why automation and mobile marketing automation is critical and will become more critical. It's already very popular on the web. And now there's this trend that's happening in the valley here. Everybody's talking about mobile marketing automation. The new term you might hear of is mobile CRM. It's becoming more and more popular. More companies are adopting it. I have a section in the academy all about that. I'm going to keep growing it because it's getting more and more advanced here. But automation allows you to save time. I have a small startup, a very small startup, but my business is global. As I told you, I deal with literally thousands of startups. How do I do it? How do I scale my marketing? I automate stuff. I kind of replicate my stuff, myself into 10 Nazihs, and I do this through automation. And because I use CleverTap and use different tools, I'm able to do it for free. So it's like me sending you messages and me sending you different email messages, different messages to different people based on their action. The same thing goes to mobile. As you start getting more users, you can't send them the same message, and you can't manually send them the message. You're gonna miss out on so many things, or you're gonna go insane. The solution is automation. So start thinking of this. At the end of the day, what I just showed you here is a framework, is a system, is a way of thinking of marketing that's very organized. Everything you do in marketing is these 4 stages, everything. Whether it's a mobile app or an e-commerce, or you're building a hardware device, everything is under these 4 stages. Positioning, how do you acquire users? What do you do in the first time experience? How do you delight them? What do you show them? And then how do you keep them? It's as simple as this. So your marketing system should be divided in these 4 different categories. And organizing your work is as fundamental as the work itself. If you're not organized, you're gonna miss out on marketing output. You're not gonna have the best marketing output and the best return on investment. So A, you need to know what to do, and B, you need to be very organized in doing it, and C, you need to execute on it. And obviously, if you don't know what's gonna work, it's completely okay, because it's all a matter of testing and iterating and putting your messages out, see what sticks, what's working, what's not working, and constantly iterating, constantly optimizing. I don't know what's gonna work. I don't care. All I do is I put it out and start looking at the data and start monitoring what's happening and start fixing things. I look at the whole funnel and start fixing bit by bit. The message on in the beginning, the landing pages, the conversion after that, the retention. And that's what you guys should be doing in your business as well. All right, any questions about your business? Can you please add on bonus? I missed the connectivity for a while. Hitesh, I didn't understand what you mean. I'll repeat. The bonuses are the one-on-one session with CleverTap, the Facebook group, access to the Facebook group to ask me questions, this deal that you're not gonna see again, most likely, this offer. And if you sign up before the webinar ends, you're gonna have the one-on-one session with me. Just so you know, if you go today on the Academy, and if you want to book a one-on-one session with me, it's $500. I'm giving it for free. Outside the Academy, it's $1,000, because I'm very picky and choiceful with my time. At the end of the day, my time is my currency. The more I put in my time, the more I manage my time, the more I can grow my business. So that's why I'm very picky in my time. So I'm giving you this chance to work with me without paying any fees. I mean, except any extra fees as a bonus. All right, let me see if there are any questions. Facebook page marketing, do you have something for this? I'm gonna have something for this in the coming 3-4 weeks. So in a month's time, after you go through the content and start implementing the content, you'll have something around Facebook. But guys, whoever decides to join, it's very important not just to take this information as information. It's important for you to implement it. Don't just learn it. Learn it if you want to interview somebody, but implement it. Without implementing, you can't get any results. The point is not for you to learn and keep it as information. The point is for you to understand what you need to implement, what Snapchat is doing, what Airbnb is doing, what Flipboard is doing. It's exactly what I just taught you, and implement it in your business. Now, obviously, if your product is not great, no marketing is going to help you with it. But if your product is good enough, this is the exact marketing system the big companies are implementing. The marketing system I implemented when I was marketing globally, this Tango and a few other companies. And when I consult high-end companies, it's exactly the same process. So you're saving yourself time and money by avoiding doing mistakes. But you have to implement it. Learn it, apply it, iterate it, and then implement it and keep doing it. This is where it becomes really valuable for you. More questions? More. Let me see. All right, no questions anymore. So I'm gonna if you don't have any more questions, anything you want to add, that's gonna be it for me. All right, cool. So let's call it a wrap. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone who was on the call. I hope you learned. I hope to see you in the Nazih Academy and then help you grow your business as well. And if you're not gonna join, it's okay. I hope you learn new stuff today and make sure you implement them. Don't just keep them as information. Implement them in the business. Cool. Thank you guys.